Coming to you all the way from the city of Miami in the sunshine state of Florida, bringing you the latest in the LGBTQ plus community, this is the FayWhat Show with your host, FayWhat!
Buenas noches, mi gente, and welcome to the FayWhat Show. FayWhat! So, our show's mission is to entertain, educate, and unite our community with real-life topics in a safe, positive, and fun environment. Because together we win and divided we fall. You know it, ya lo sabe. So, our table topics are human topics. They're conversations that need to be had, and we aren't afraid to have them anymore. And there's like no holds barred on what we talk about here on the FayWhat Show. So, no more being in the closet with our thoughts and what's important to us in the LGBTQ community, right? Because we're important. Our thoughts matter. What we love matter. So when the FayWhat Show was created, we wanted to ensure that we took time to pay tribute to those in our community that have dedicated their time to make a difference. The trendsetters, the mentors, the activists. The ones that when you saw them on Saturday night, you would clutch your pearls because they look so great. You know who I'm talking about, right? You know what it is. It's just a matter of it's how we describe these people. There's no way to really describe them. They just are. We would not be here without them. And this week we pay tribute to one of my favorite LGBTQ plus icons, Stein. From photography to activism, he's dedicated his life to the gay agenda, right? Little Nas X. We'll talk with him about that and a lot more. And then we'll end the show with some humor and take a moment to just laugh, because us in the gay community, we can laugh at ourselves. And we have the gayest pickup lines ever. So let's begin. This month's gay icon is Stein. So Stein has received a master's from world famous Juilliard, and he's a famous photographer, and he has taken pictures of everybody. Internationally acclaimed DJs, producers, drag queens, politicos, business people, entertainers, and yours truly, FayWhat. He's presently the director of music ministry at Unity on the Bay. You haven't been to Unity on the Bay? You gotta get over to Unity on the Bay. It's like the dopest church ever. Again, I'm a little biased, but it is what it is, right? He is also the moderator of South Florida's largest LGBTQ plus Facebook group, Miami Gay List. He also served on the Miami LGBTQ plus advisory committee, the Miami Beach LGBTQ plus advisory committee, for the full 8-year term, and he presently sits on the Human Rights Committee. Welcome to the show, Stein!
Hi, thanks.
You like my auto-tune, right? Dale, thank you for saying yes, Papa.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you. It's great to be. I feel like I'm with you in so many different environments.
Right?
And this is the first time, so I'm like breaking my cherry in the FayWhat Show.
You are. You totally are.
I had one left. I'm shocked.
You have one cherry left, and I just popped it.
Cherry.
That's it.
Right.
So me and Dale, we work together at Unity on the Bay, where I serve as the MC, I guess you can call it, and
the diva extraordinaire on the
diva
platform.
Extraordinaire, and Dale does everything else. Right? I'm not giving any credit to the reverends, right? Anyway, no.
Right.
So we work together there, and we always have a blast there. Actually, one of the first times that we worked together was at the gala.
Right.
For Unity on the Bay.
Oh, that's right. We did it a couple years in a row. We emceed together.
Yes, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dale sang at my wedding.
Right, I did.
And that was like a blessing and just a beautiful gift that you and Ruth gave me and Myra that day. That was just beautiful. And now also Stein is one of the anchors on Queer News Tonight, and now he's become a regular, so I get to see you in 3 places in my life that we're never supposed to mix.
And it's happening out also.
Yes.
And then our photo shoots we've done now.
I know.
So it's we're really like crossing paths everywhere we go.
No, I love it. That means that I'm obviously exuding the energy that I want. You know that you attract the kind of quality people. So if you're one of those people that I'm around a lot, I'm blessed.
And we also we cross paths in the world of animal rescue.
Yes.
So there's a lot of areas in where we're just really dancing. And it's really kind of magical.
Maybe we're the same person. If it wasn't for the fact that I have absolutely no talent at all, I would totally think that we were the same person.
You have amazing talent. And now by your singing, I can't,
No. So, we've been friends for a while, and I have to say how humbling it is to have you on, and that you said yes, and, that you continue to be the incredible icon that you are. We got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Okay? So, happy coming out day. I know that was yesterday, right?
Yep.
That was yesterday, the 11th. And how do you feel about that? Like, about acknowledging that day? Like, when did you come out?
Well, I'm a fairly,
back in the Stone Age. No, I'm joking.
Well, it was kind of like that. I came out, let's see, officially I came out in 1975. So that means that's a long time ago, right? Is that 46 years?
Nobody in this room was alive yet.
I don't,
I just want to put that out
I
there.
mean, I have so many words I could, right?
You have a finger and a lot of words that you want to point at me,
Yeah.
and that's fine. We're going to keep
No, I mean, I think I can't believe I'm this old either. I mean, it's kind of shocking to me, but then I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, that happened, I forgot. When did this happen? But yeah, I came out in 1975 officially. But I posted something yesterday about it on for social media, that I knew I was attracted to men when I was 3 years old. But you don't really come out when you're 3 in North Carolina, rural North Carolina, because what is that? I didn't even know what it was.
It's like I came out, now what?
I'm attracted to men. What is that? There was no will and grace.
Okay.
There was nothing. There was
no
nothing.
queer as folk. There was no pose.
There was nothing. So, but many years later, then I came out at 18. So it's been 46 years, and being in the arts and being in music and being in theater, I guess it's easier. Having lived in New York for 21 years, I guess that made it somewhat easier. But I mean, I think it's an important day to acknowledge.
Yeah.
And
and we also have to think about those that are not able to be out, and we have a day like
So
that
many.
for those people.
So many.
You're from a lot of different places, and you've lived in a lot of different places, and like you said, you're originally from North Carolina, right?
Correct,
But
correct.
you spent like your formative years in New York, so with Juilliard and all that kind of stuff. Tell us about how it was being out at that time in New York. Like I've known, I've heard you refer to the AIDS epidemic as dark times. Going through that, did you feel a sense of survivor's guilt? Like, were you a whore back then, and were you worried?
How frank can we be on this show?
We can be very frank. It's no holds barred.
This is family hour, though.
This is family hour, yeah. But it's still, it's family hour with family.
Right. Oh, right. Well, let's see. So I moved to New York in 1980, when New York was still grungy and gritty and grimy. Times Square was boarded up. It was all hookers, sex shops, drug dealers. You could get a colada over here or something like that. It was fabulous. I loved it. Because it was gritty. I love the dirt and the grime and the grit because, I used to go to Alphabet City, Avenue A, B, C, to see Charles Busch, the famous Charles Busch. If you don't know, Google, girl.
Google.
Legendary. I used to go to Alphabet City to see his shows, and people say, "You're going to Alphabet City?" Yeah, I might not get back. It's so exciting. It's thrilling. Now, it's just like, New York will always be a fabulous city.
Of course.
But to me, it doesn't have that edge that it had that I love so much. But having moved to New York in 1980, before AIDS was even a word that we knew, and before HIV was even an acronym we knew, yes, I was a whore.
To answer my question, yes.
The bottom line, so to speak, yeah, I was a whore. I lived on Columbus Avenue, and at that time, if anybody knows in New York, Christopher Street was the gay place. And in those years, we said, what better to follow Christopher than Columbus? And now, of course, we
know better. But
we know better
this
because
is the 80s.
This is the 80s. We didn't know about.
We didn't know that Columbus was a rapist and all that other stuff.
And now we wouldn't use it at all because it has nothing to do with indigenous people. So it's
exactly. Happy Indigenous Day, by the way.
Right. So exactly. But this was before Chelsea. Chelsea was still just a regular ghetto. So Chelsea was not even the Chelsea that it became, and now Chelsea's already,
Now it's moved on from
exactly.
that. Yeah.
So the Upper West Side was very gay. There were gay bars on every corner. So I was busy every night.
That's what we're calling it these days, guys. Busy. What are you doing? I'm busy. Grinder. Busy.
I have an appointment.
I've got to get serviced. Oh, your car? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're right. The things that you could do in those bars, like really outrageous, Anyway, that's for another show altogether. But, so yeah, we didn't even know it was a thing in 1982, 83. I remember the first, am I going to go to the AIDS conversation, the HIV?
Please.
Yeah. Okay, so the first time I ever really had a thought about it much, really, I was in Europe, actually. I was singing with the Spoleto Festival in Italy, and then I took a Euro pass after that and travel around Europe for like 6, 7, 8 weeks.
Getting service.
Meeting people, making
doing a tour.
making new friends. And I met a new friend, and I was in Venice, and I was at Lido Beach, and I met this Belgian friend Oh my God, he was so hot. And so we had this torrid 1-week affair in Venice. I mean, like, it's so romantic. You think about, like, oh my God, this Belgian beauty in Venice. I mean, like, come on.
That is a gay storybook right there.
I mean, it was just made for like some torrid, porno. But he was the first person who asked me about it. And I'll never forget, he said, what about, in the middle of, we were having like,
serviceness.
Yeah, right. Because there was no such, you didn't even think about unprotected or protected sex at that time. It wasn't even it wasn't terminology that anybody heard. You just did whatever the hell you wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whatever, you did everything. There's a hole, you fill it, that's what I want. So, can I say that?
Yes, of course.
I said it. This is live and unedited.
That's how we roll at the
So I remember he asked me about it while we're in the middle of like, fornicating, and I'm like, well,
do you want to have this conversation right now?
You're bringing me down, literally. And so but that was really kind of the first time I thought about it. But then, of course, it became like a huge thing,
You lost a ton of friends around.
Yeah, and what's interesting for me is that I did know a good number of people, but I didn't know, I know other people who knew and lost hundreds, if not
hundreds. Wow.
Hundreds of people. I did not lose hundreds of people. It's odd that the people that I knew who then contracted HIV and then went on to get AIDS and then passed on to the next realm, we kind of were in each other's lives at the time it was going on. I wasn't trying to avoid it. It just kind of the way it played out in the universe. But I did lose some friends, of course. I mean, I was in the hospital, and it was depressing, and it was a heaviness. There was a weight around, but unlike COVID, at least after a time, you knew how you could contract this disease.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting time, and to be a man of my age and to lived the horror life I lived, and to still be HIV negative is pretty kind of amazing. I don't like to tout that much because I like to say, oh, look at me, but it's true. It's odd. It's like, how did that happen? But here I am to tell that story.
And here you are to tell that story, exactly. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's no way to really know how you avoided it or how it didn't happen. You were protected, Dale, and that was it.
I had something to do here, like to be on the show. That's why I'm here.
You had something to do. You have a lot to do. You're a busy dude. How did you use your Juilliard studies in the future? Like, you were just saying that you toured, and was that one of the jobs that you got after your master's?
That was, I was still at Juilliard.
Okay.
When I met the people running the Spoleto Opera Festival, and I ran that, we did that. So while I was at Juilliard, I was doing a lot of singing in other gigs and stuff, in quartets and solos and whatnot. And then when I got out of Juilliard, I decided, I got my degree in opera and classical music. But as soon as I finished Juilliard, I decided, I really want to do musical theater instead. And then I was teaching aerobics in the 80s. Like when
like jazzercise? Like Jane Fonda?
It was full on.
Shut up.
Did
you have the leg warmers? Oh, damn.
Bitch, please. Leg warmers. I mean, short, and I had them custom made, the short shorts. Because I would go to the fabric store, pick out the most outrageous patterns. Make me these. The shorts are like this. They weren't this much fabric. I mean, it was like no fabric. I mean,
and then you made them shorter.
Yeah, and then you rolled them up. So they're up the crack of your butt, and you're like, oh my God, these are cute. And I have long legs, but there's it was everything. But no, so while I was even at Juilliard, I had a job. I worked on a cruise ship doing shows, doing entertainment, and that was a great gig. And I learned from this girl about aerobics. It was 1982, 83, and so it was like the hottest thing. I'm like, oh, this is really fun. So I ended up getting a job. I became like an aerobics, fresh out of Masters in Opera from Juilliard, I became an aerobics guru. Now that makes sense, right? So so random. My life is so random, but and yet not. Because I still have friends from those days, very close friends. But so I became like a guru. People would sign up for my class that morning, and then it's the women that would kick each other, push each other out of the way because they needed to be in their spot to do my routine.
And you loved it.
Oh, it was great. I would teach in the Hamptons. I taught in Europe. I traveled a lot and taught in Sweden. I taught in Turkey. I taught in Cyprus. This was all through aerobics.
Wow.
A part of my life that's kind of like seemingly random and kind of just this chunk of time that was I did that. But yeah, the outfits, the headbands,
everything.
Oh, the whole thing.
Oh my God,
the whole thing, girl.
But it sounds to me, Dale, that you kind of it sounds so infantile to say it, but you go with the flow. You know, like you kind of stay open to see, okay, what's the, you stayed open, all right. You know, how I'm going to stay open to whatever possibility the universe has to give me. You know, I mean, you get a master's at Juilliard, you don't expect that person with that paper to go teach a jazzercise class. You know what I mean? In Europe.
It was at the hottest club in Manhattan. Though,
but still, Dale.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm going with the flow. There's the randomness that's happened in my life. It's kind of just, oh, well, let me just do that. So right, exactly. if I look back, and I often do, and I really try not to look back with regret, but because I often say I don't believe in regrets, but I'm riddled with them, which is, not to get heavy and dark, but I am riddled with regrets. I think, well, if I look back, why did I make that decision? Why didn't I just continue doing classical music? And well, girl, you didn't.
And
that's not what you did.
But you didn't want to. It seems like it was like, okay, here's this opportunity. Why not try? And if I fail, then that's a beautiful thing. Where most of us are like frozen with fear to try something new or to move somewhere else because change for the gays is like scary times. And you were like, okay, sure, I'll go here, I'll go there.
Yeah, and I did that and I was a personal trainer also, and I did that for, 12 years. And then doing other things. And then I would go in and out of singing, always back to singing, because really, I think at the core of who I am, first and foremost, I'm a singer.
Yes.
Everything I am is for my voice. Photography is music. That's why I think I'm a good photographer, because, and I modeled also in New York. I had gigs modeling, and I was on the other side of the camera. But I see a photo as a phrase. How does that look? How does it, it's a visual phrase. How does it look in the frame? Does it sing?
Wow, that's incredible. Let's talk a little bit about Unity on the Bay. Okay, so you're head of music ministry there at Unity on the Bay, the best church in the world, right? Okay, again, I'm a little partial. How'd that happen? Unity on the Bay is not a gay church, but we are welcome there big time, all right? And our reverends are part of the LGBTQ community, Did that have anything to do with the decision of you joining Unity on the Bay? How did that happen?
Well, I had been to Unity on the Bay once or twice only, back before 2010 at some point. And in those days, it was mucho gay. It was mucho gay. I mean, I think people were coming in straight after the club.
You would see people with a 5 o'clock shadow, like the drag queens in a 5 o'clock shadow from the night before.
Yeah, like, reeking of like the club, like, oh.
The club smell, you know what I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. And then you're like cruising, it was very cruisy. You're like, oh, hey.
Before Grindr, you went to church.
Right. So, but it didn't really speak to me necessarily, but then I went back again in 2009, and I started going on every Sunday as a congregant. And then it was one Sunday in 2010. I'd been doing singing gigs here and there, but I'd kind of gotten out of it for a while. And I said, I'm going to go join the choir. Huh. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to join a volunteer choir. Like, I'm going to volunteer. But something really spoke to me. And so I went up that day and I just said I'd like to join. And it just so happened to be the day that the director there of the choir was leaving that day, and Julie Silvera was coming on board.
That same day?
That same Sunday, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I sang in the choir for a few years, and then Julie Silvera, who was the choir conductor at the time, moved on, and then I was invited to take her job. And then the director of the ministry at the time, 3 years later, moved on, or 2 years later, and then I was offered that job. Well, I had to apply for it. But it was really...
you had to audition? How dare they?
But it was really, it was really spirit speaking in Unity speak terms.
Okay.
That I actually walked up that day and said, I'm just going to do this because God was talking to me, or Spirit was talking, or the universe, because it led to my being in this position I'm in at Unity. Yeah. And it really feels like I'm supposed to be there.
You are supposed to be there. And everything aligned for that to happen. Like I've told people in the congregation about how I started hosting services was because I wanted to do something for church and I can't sing. And I was like, what am I going to do for this place? And and I tripped over one of the reverends. He's shorter than me and I'm like 18 feet tall. And he asked me to come in and start a new program and start emceeing the services. And that's how that kind of happened, Okay, so Dale, I read a story I think a couple weeks ago that was talking about LGBTQ folks wanting to be religious, but just not seeing the community or the welcoming factors in certain churches. What do you think about that? Do you consider yourself spiritual or religious? And do you think that many in our community want that and just don't know where?
Well, I think that so many people have grown up in churches and in religion that has just squashed who they are, and they can't be their authentic selves. And certainly we know that there are many church and religious organizations that do not allow LGBTQ at all.
Yeah.
Or they say they do, and
All are welcome. BS.
Right. So what is it, that phrase that's used? Something about I don't support the sinner, I support the sinner but not the sin, or there's some crazy ass religious thing.
Some crazy bullshit.
But I grew up in a traditional Methodist church. Southern. I was born in North Carolina, at a very small town church. But again, this was the Dark Ages, so there was nothing about Paul Lynde was on Hollywood Squares was the closest thing, and that's such an old reference. Nobody even knows what I'm talking about.
Is he the guy with the mustache? Did he have a mustache? No. Okay, don't worry. All right.
I had no gay references, but I think what's great about Unity on the Bay is that it is so welcoming and inclusive. And your sexuality and your gender identity and all those things that are so important to us are just not an issue. I mean, they're issues to be addressed because if they want to be addressed and discussed and talked about. But in terms of religion itself, I can see where people are very apprehensive about being skeptical, apprehensive about being involved in a spiritual community. But Unity on the Bay is really not a traditional church. It's a spiritual community. And I'm grateful that we're a part of it. That's for sure.
I am. I'm grateful that we're both a part of it for sure. How did you get into photography?
Well, as I mentioned, I did some modeling in New York. It was that was good. I was good at that, and I had some a fair amount of gigs modeling and doing whatnot. And then actually, it was on Fire Island one summer that I had
the gayest place on earth for New Yorkers. If you guys don't, if you've never been, bucket list.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And there might have been some partying involved.
Servicing.
Partying involved. And back in the day, but a friend of mine was a photographer, and I call him my mentor, Jim Cox, and COX, not COCKS.
Okay.
And
either way, I automatically go to COCKS.
I saw you go there. And there might have been a pill involved, and or two every time, and not Tylenol, and so you start taking photos because you see things.
That mescaline and acid sure make you see things. Wow,
that shit looks really good. And but really, that's kind of how it went down.
Really?
I mean, and then I started looking at the photos I would take of these people. I thought, later when the pill was not involved, and I would think that's really pretty. That's really a nice image. And other people said, that's really, you have an eye. You have the eye. So I just kind of, again, like with the jazzercise, I kind of just
fell
went with
into it, sort of.
And
went with it.
And I was still, living in New York at that time, of course. And and then when I met a man a few years later and decided to move to Miami, and I told people I was going to move to Miami and become a photographer, my friends were like, what? Yes. Randomness, but at the same time, kind of, as you say, following your heart and just kind of going with the flow. Yeah.
Well, down here in South Florida, you photographed anyone in LGBTQ. Who were the hardest? Or who's the hardest to photograph? Who do you think? I mean, who did you like? And maybe you can't say a name. I get it, but have you been in a situation where it's like, okay, this person is awesome. They're great on stage. I can't wait to photograph them, and then they get there and it's like a pain in the ass, or they freeze up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that really most entertainers or people in the industry of entertaining I photographed have really been great to photograph. I can't think of somebody who's been difficult in that regard.
Who would you want to that you haven't?
Who would I want to be difficult?
No. Well, yeah. Who would you want to photograph? Anybody? No limit as to who, dead or alive, whoever.
Oh my gosh, that's a really.
I know.
I would love it. This sounds so weird, I know, but I would love to photograph Barbara Streisand only because she's so fanatical, and so I would love to have her direct me and tell me, because she's going to tell you exactly what to do.
She's going to tell you how to take it.
So I would like her to kind of dominatrix me.
Are you a bottom?
No, well, I'm celibate, if we can go on that way. But
did you like my segue
from
Barbara Streisand to sex?
I was like, WTF with that?
So it would be Barbara Streisand.
When I was active, I was definitely verse.
You were
So,
verse.
definitely
Okay,
verse.
like a true verse, not like when a boy says he's verse just to see if the other boy is,
No, you just do what you have to do to make it happen. And but how did you get? That was a really interesting segue there.
Because Babs can tell you what to do and you like it. So I was wondering if
Well,
you
no,
were like a
just-
power bottom or something.
I mean,
and
I
like,
never
you
really
know.
thought about who I would like to really photograph that much. I mean, I guess I do see people from time to time. When I was first starting out, I would see beautiful people. I'd say, I just need to photograph that face. And I think I got away from that a little bit, because you start going, okay, I've got to make money doing this, because I've got to buy all this equipment, and you can't just keep doing it as a hobby.
Yeah.
But the most difficult to people to photograph, though, are those who are people like attorneys and doctors and people who are hiring you to take their headshot, and they're not used to being in front of the camera.
Got it.
Those are the most difficult.
Because there's no spark. It's just...
Well, they just don't know how to be photographed, and they think you can make the magic for them. But at the same time, you've got to make it magical somehow, and make it comfortable. And so, people, I'm not photogenic. And I say, well, it's not your job to be photogenic.
It's my job
It's
to
my
take a good
job for
picture
you
of
to be
you.
photogenic. So...
Can you get a good picture of the weirdest looking person? And by weird, I don't mean anything. Please don't send me hate mail. I'm just saying, could you, because, before filters and all that, people took bad pictures, Dale.
Yeah, before Instagram.
Before Instagram and all that. Do you cringe when someone takes your picture?
Do I cringe? I don't know if I cringe. I get very, I do get cringy a little bit because, I think back of how handsome I was when I was pretty and young, So, and you think, then you see yourself in the photo and you're like, oh my God. I can't retouch my face now because I don't want to zoom in that to see this up close.
Dale.
But
Dale, you're gorgeous, bro. Can I tell you that? Not because we're basically family, but you are a goddess. You're gorgeous. And I know that people go and refer to if you Google Dale Stein, you'll see all these Greek god looking pictures where he's like this.
Right.
And I find him more sexy now. So, I've always, since the second I met you and found out your age, which I was blown away by, I was like, I want that olive oil regimen. Maybe I would even think about being a vegan for a second if it made me look that sexy, because he's a vegan also, So, no.
Yeah. So, what topic we're on now?
I have no idea. Okay, let's talk about the Miami Gay List. So if you aren't a part of the Miami Gay List, go to your Facebook and join. They're 15,000 strong, okay? And how did that come about? I remember years ago, how long has it been on? Like a couple of years. It hasn't been on too long.
No, it's been more years than that. AJ Reddy started it.
Okay.
AJ the DJ, if you know AJ Reddy, started, and then I came on board maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
That's how it started out, because he and I also worked with Hot Spots magazine, but I photographed. There was a magazine also called Latino Boys Magazine, which became Genre Latino, which then became absorbed by Hot Spots. But I photographed all the covers for Genre Latino.
Okay.
So that's how AJ said, "Would you like to come and start posting some of the boys you photographed?"
And that's how you got the hottie of the...
The hottie of the day or whatever. The hottie, it used to be the hottie of the week or whatever, but I started with only boys I'd photographed. And then now I really don't do that much photographing of hot boys. I do more commercial kind of things because that's really what I want to do. So then it just became a thing. So then I just started picking hot boys every day. And then he asked me to admin the page, and not just for the boys, but for everything in general.
Well, I remember it being mostly about the boys. It was mostly about the hottie, and then kind of when you took it over, which, by the way, those hotties make a lesbian wonder, okay? Just to let you know, some of those hotties are like, holy crap, but when he asked you to take it on, why'd you say yes? To add something else to your plate right now? That's a lot going on.
I know, I don't
all
know
these
why.
things that we're talking about, people, he never stopped any of them. You understand? Unity in the Bay, still there. Photography, yeah, still there. Singing, yeah. Photo, so it's like...
I'm not doing the jazzercise.
Not doing the jazzercise anymore because
I did stop that.
can't let him leave the house with that headband on. But he probably would, But why add something else to the mix?
Well, again, it just kind of felt like it kind of happened, and then I just got into it. And I'm very kind of OCD about things, and then I get committed, and then I get controlling, and and I'm there, and I just feel like I have to keep doing it. And then that's why I created the Instagram page for my Gay List. I'm like, why am I doing this? It's just something else I'm creating for me to do, for which I'm not getting paid.
But it's your evolution. Like, you know, a lot of people, when they get older, they don't want to learn new technology. They don't want to deal with social media. They don't want to do, you know, all of that. And you like kind of jump right in like, oh, well, let me see.
And speaking of technology, when I started photography I started about 1999, but I got my first professional camera in like 2001. But I did digital immediately. I never did film in the darkroom. I mean, when I was a model, there was film, and because there were daguerreotypes, they called them, and sketches. There was no film, and cave drawings.
There was charcoal. You just, you know, did what you had to do.
Right, but no, I was only ever digital. So I've always been, I guess, kind of technologically a little bit savvy for someone of my age.
I didn't want to say that, but I mean, but not because of your age. I mean, it's just kind of goes with the territory. You get a certain age, and you're like, I don't want to learn anything else.
But you know, I think I get that also from my mother. My mother's 83, and she's been a texter forever, and she's did that long. People, I wish I could get my mother to text. I'm like, sometimes I call my mother, she texts me back, I'm busy, I can't talk.
I love you.
So you know, so she's I'm not very tech savvy. I'm like, you trust.
I love
Trust your
mom.
tech savvy, you know.
Why aren't you married? Why don't you have a partner? Why don't you have a boyfriend? Why isn't someone servicing you daily?
I'm just not really, I am not interested in it. I really just, I mean, I've examined that part of me, I just don't have an interest in it.
Do you think because you did debauchery gone wild and you did it all, that you marked all the boxes and that just...
I've been in a lot of relationships. I mean, I was in long term, like 8 years, which is, you know, for gays, that's a long
That's
time.
143.
Yeah. 8 years, 4 years. And I would say I'm not really great at it because I don't want to go into the details about that.
Are you a cheater? You were a cheater! Oh my God! Listen, you can't sit in the chair with FayWhat without her getting it out of you. I make people cry.
You think you're Oprah?
I wish, girl. But anyway, so that was.
Well, yeah, that and it's weird because it's so like out of character for what I see myself as.
Yeah.
And
so
what
I see you
and
as
it's very
too.
frustrating because then I would find myself doing things for which I would really loathe myself. And I can't be dealing with self-loathing. I mean, so I think, okay, well, maybe it's just not for you. The most recent relationship I had, which was short, 8 months, it was not even a relationship, but that was almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
And there was no cheating involved in there. But it was only 8 months.
It was only 8 months, so I mean.
Better like, you know.
Better like, yeah.
I mean, I think maybe I had discovered a part, I like to think I discovered what was the issue at hand, and I don't know that I did. But then I just decided, I'm done.
Okay.
So I don't hook up. I don't, you know.
So is that solidified if you saw someone at a club or at a function and they just blew your mind with just how they talked and how they looked, could that be changed?
I can't even imagine it.
Wow.
I just don't see it in my.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I could say that maybe if somebody really knocked me off my feet, I would be open to it, but I just don't see it. I don't. Even the thought of it gives me nothing. Nothing stirs. You know, I live with my best friend. He's like my brother. So I have a companion at home.
Tell us your arrangement for the future with him that you told me about in the past.
Which thing? What?
That at the end, if please.
Well, at the end, I mean,
I don't mean at the end. That was an awful intro. Yeah, sorry.
Well, he's like my brother. My mother calls him son. So he's like my brother. You know, we're companions. We have our bedrooms. We're just companions. You know.
But there's never any service going on.
Oh God, no. He's like my brother. You know, that would be like incest, and you know, I guess, which could be hot for porno.
I mean, if this was Pornhub or if we were talking about OnlyFans, people would be all over. People
right,
would be subscribing.
What's the problem?
¿Y qué? You know. So, but you guys are there for each other, and you know,
Yeah.
if this stays how it is, and you decide not to explore a relationship with anybody, you will have each other's back and be each other's companion.
Totally. I mean, like, you know, it's like you're in my will, I'm in your will. You know, he works for a really good company. I'm on his life insurance policy. He's on mine, et cetera, et cetera. I'm on his insurance. It's all that kind of wonderful things, that the perks that a self-employed kind of contractor person does not have.
Yeah.
But he's a companion, you know. So I don't live alone, and we have, you know, animals also.
Of course, we gotta have animals.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your activism. You're currently part of the Miami Beach LGBTQ plus advisory committee. Correct?
I was on that committee.
You were on that. That was the one that you were on for
That was
8
when I
years,
turned out,
right?
yeah.
But you're presently on the Human
Rights
Rights
Committee,
right?
Yeah.
Why do we need these groups?
Well, Miami Beach itself, in terms of the policy and the things on the books, is a very progressive city. So there's a human rights ordinance that's been in place for a very long time. So, but there are always things that have to be addressed, quality of life and all kinds of issues like that. So we are looking at all kinds of things like, for people with disabilities or people who are challenged in whatever way. We're looking at quality of life for the residents and looking at trafficking, for example, which is a huge issue in Miami.
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking, human trafficking, and also for job, what's it called? Labor. Yeah, thank you. So we look at all kinds of issues in that realm. And I think it's important. I mean, to be involved, and to be a part of what the city has to offer.
Yeah.
And I'm going tomorrow, as a matter of fact, Twist, which is the longest open bar and club in South Beach, is owned by Joel Stedman.
Mm-hmm.
And, he told me not to talk about it. I just remembered that.
Sorry,
Oops.
Twist. We love you, though. FayWhat Show loves Twist. Been there too many times, got thrown out just a few. All right.
There's something important, though, that's for people who vote in Miami Beach. There's an upcoming
the 2 a.m. thing?
The 2 a.m. ban. That's very important because it's really stupid.
What do you think? So if you guys don't know, if you ever watch the news, they always have Only in Dade, we love you guys. You guys are always having all these crazy videos, and it's usually about South Beach, and it's usually spring break and people acting out. During COVID quarantine, many folks drove here, even though, in their cities they weren't allowed to leave the house. We got inundated with massive crowds, people that didn't know how to act, people that didn't care about our city, and it was people just ran amok.
It was a shit show.
People really ran amok. And so now they want to pass something where they make it more into like a family-friendly entertainment district and close everything by 2 a.m. I was a South Beach kid.
Well, there was an alcohol ban by 2 a.m.
And I was a South Beach kid, and so most places close at 5, and then there would be after hours, so you could party like 24 hours a day if you wanted to, and now they want to stop that. So there'll be
the alcohol ban at 2. But it's not. So the issue is that it's not the people in the clubs who are creating the problems.
It's the people from coming here.
So this ban would just harm the businesses that are keeping people safe, basically safe, and not harming the streets. So it's a really miscalculated proposition, in my opinion. And it's only going to hurt the businesses who are there and doing well now, and it's not going to solve the problem.
Yeah, it's not.
And I don't know what's going to solve the problem. I don't have that answer, but that is not the answer.
Yeah.
So I encourage anybody who's going to vote and can vote in Miami Beach to vote no. I think the number is 283, but it's the alcohol ban. 2 a.m. Vote no.
Vote no. I mean, a lot of our people in our community, they live off that money, and you're cutting off their supply, their movies.
I mean, you think about it. That's 3 hours of liquor sales. It's huge.
That's a lot of money. And again, like you said, it's not the people who live here that are causing all the ruckus. It's usually the people from out of town. We love that you guys visit, but you don't.
But behave.
You don't treat our town like it's yours. Photography, music, now also social media, gay list leader. What's next? Aren't you tired? Like, is retirement something you ever even think about? And what does that even look like?
Yeah, retire from what? To what? Actually, my accountant, because I just did my taxes, because you always file an extension. So every year I do my taxes like a good citizen. And he said, I want to talk to you. I want to set up a meeting with you about retirement. It freaked me
the F out.
I was like, talking about what? I mean, I can't even think of that. I mean, I just plan on working till I just keel over. I'm doing what I love, and oh, there she goes. Bye, girl.
Bye, girl. Bye.
She done. I mean, I don't want to. I just can't even think of retiring. It doesn't make sense to me because I've always been self-employed. I've always been like a self-employed kind of contractor kind of thing. So I don't have that setup like your wife.
Yeah.
So. Even the thought of it, my brain doesn't even work that way.
Yeah. So you will work till you keel over. Till you keel over.
I'm gonna be up maybe I'll get back into jazzercise. I'll bring it back.
What a feeling!
Senior size. Hey, kick. Oh, ow!
Do you feel ageism? Do you ever experience that? I mean, I know that I do. I've been doing TV and radio for over 20 years, and that was when I was 20. So now I can tell you where I'm at now. So, do you feel that ever?
Well, I certainly feel it in that I impose it upon myself.
Self-inflicted
Yeah,
ages.
and I try to avoid putting myself in a position where I would feel it from other people, if that makes sense. Because I know when I was out and younger, in my 20s, and I would see, I was the same. I was in ages too, but I was in my 20s. I'm like, why is that old man hitting on me? And I was like, I'm never going to be that guy. And what does that mean? That's really horrible of me to even say that. Because I'm like, that's really self-deprecating.
Well, okay, I mean, come on, because 20-year-old, we love you guys, but you guys think you know everything and you really don't.
We knew nothing. We knew nothing.
You knew nothing. Like, I remember, I would always say, I never want to be that old woman in the club. You know what I mean? Like, and I just imagined the old woman in the club that she was wearing a lot of gold chains. I don't know why, okay? I'm just saying, a flannel shirt and a bunch of gold chains. And here I am in my 40s, and I do go to a club, you know, a lot.
But you imagine if I wore like some kind of cute, like a jazzercise outfit now went to a club. I mean, it would be just so wrong.
That shit would go viral, Dale. So you might want to do it. Last question. Halloween. That's like our, you know, Halloween is like our gay Christmas, right? Any ideas for costumes or anything? And are you coming to my party?
Yeah, of course. The photos. I took the photo. I'm not a huge Halloween fan.
Okay.
I used to do some drag. I did also.
What else? What a surprise, right? Was anybody surprised? Everybody's like, yeah, I see
there are
that.
photos around.
Look at that beautiful chin of his.
I was Strawberry was my name, and with my best friend who's from Puerto Rico, he was Chocolate.
Chocolate.
And
okay.
my ex, Michael, another Michael ex.
Was he vanilla?
He was vanilla. We were the Neapolitan sisters, and so everything didn't dress up like ice cream, but we dressed up like the essence of the flavor. So Strawberry was a Southern girl, and everything was baby pink, and the hair and thing, and the same person who does Adora, the famous Adora's wigs, did all our wigs.
Oh,
so
wow.
you know they were the bomb.
Yeah, fabulous to the max.
But I did shopping, and you know all the stores for all that pink, baby pink stuff. I mean,
like Pepto.
Totally, and the highest heels and hair, but you know Strawberry was the bomb. She was amazing.
So bring her back this year.
Oh no!
Bring her back for 2021.
No, because the foundation will go in the crevices, and it's like, oh dear.
Have you had any work done?
I haven't any work done.
Look at you.
I've had no work done. There might have been an injection.
I love having you on camera. Do you understand that I
there
can
might
ask you
have been
anything right now?
an injection here or there.
But that's
is
nothing.
Is my face moving?
Listen, look at my forehead. Happy, sad,
so
indifferent.
We're the same. We're the same.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, like I told you before, you're gorgeous. And, you know, it might be the vegan in you. It might be the spirituality. It might be...
My genes and my mother.
It might be your mom.
Yeah.
You know, it might be the music that keeps you just vibrant and young. But I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for being on our show today.
Oh my gosh, it's been so much fun.
I
was nervous.
I know, right? I don't understand. He was like, I'm nervous. I'm like, really? Of sitting here and kikiing with me? Like, for real, of all people? Like, this is what we do backstage at Unity on the Bay, talking crap about ourselves, because we're very egotistical. Anyway, make sure that you follow him on social media and go to Miami Gay List also. Make sure that you follow them as well. And, you know, he might let you be part of that group, okay? You can also catch him every Sunday at Unity on the Bay, unityonthebay.org to see our, and also on YouTube also to see our services there. And you can see Dale and you can see me, and yeah, so we love you, Dale. Now, for our funny segment, I'm going to keep Dale in the seat because he's kidnapped and he can't go anywhere. So, you know. So returning back to FayWhat is the gayest pickup lines. And, you know, many found love after we shared the last version of this. So we want you to keep hooking up. So let's get this started with the gayest and most fun pickup lines. Number 1. Do you believe in love at first sight, or should I walk by again? That's an oldie but goodie. I'm walking by. You see me? You see me? You see me? You see me? Anybody ever tell you that, Dale? No.
I never needed pickup lines. I didn't. I mean, I was that pretty. Okay?
He was that pretty that he never needed pickup lines. Pickup line number 2. You might not be the best looking guy here, but beauty is only a light switch away. You know, everyone is hot with the lights turned off, right? I mean, come on, you know. That and some alcohol can always help, folks, okay? So don't worry about it. All right. Number 3. Hi, I'm Miss Right. Someone said you were looking for me. It's supposed to be Mr. Right, but I mean, come on, you know, Miss Right, right? Okay. Number 4. Do you wash your jeans in Windex? Because I can see myself in them. Windex? Really? Does that work? All right. Number 5, it's a good thing same-sex marriage is legal here because I'm already planning our wedding. and our divorce, if that's how we met, just to let you know. Number 6, I know milk does a body good, but damn, how much have you been drinking? I'm an almond milk family. That other stuff, no puedo with that vitamin D. Yeah. Number 7, I've got an oral exam later. Can I practice with you? No, you may not, Sucio. How dare you? Who would say that to somebody? Right? Okay. Number 8, you remind me of a Happy Meal because I'm not going to say that. I can't say that, Luisito. This is a family show. I am not going to say the rest of that line. Okay. You remind me of a Happy Meal and I'm only going to use the drive-through to come see you. How about that? All right. That is our gay pickup lines. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh my goodness. If you've got something, well, those were definitely the dirtiest. And anyway, I'm a little affected by those. If you have an idea or a story that you want to share, we want to hear all about it. Cuéntanos, and it might be featured in one of our upcoming segments. Send them our way on our Instagram page at FayWhat YouTube, or email us at info@faywhat.com. What a great show. I've got to thank our guest, Mr. Dale Stein. Woo! I'm going to get like a clap track or something. So like, you know. No, wait. Does that still exist these days? Isn't there a pill for that? Oh, okay. Well, I'd like to thank... Oh, okay. In the butt?
Thankfully, I have never had that. Believe it or not.
We're going to do a whole other show with Dale in the future, just to let you know, because now that's come up with like other questions that I have for him that I'm just going to leave alone for now. All right. I have to say thank you to Dale Stein and also those behind the scenes. We cannot do what we do without them. To my producer, director, my love, my brother, Luisito Flores, our assistant director, project manager, Mr. David Fernandez, and all of you for letting us do our thing every single week. Please join us next week for another great show. And don't forget to share, subscribe, and like us on YouTube, Facebook, and IG. So, you know, when you ask folks what an icon is, everyone will have a different answer. For most, icons are Madonna, Lady Gaga, Janet Jackson, and they're icons in their own right. And I feel that the LGBTQ community actually made them stars, right? But that's not what I mean when I think about icons. Icons are folks that paved the way so we wouldn't trip on the cobblestones. They're the ones that threw that first brick and refused to take no for an answer. They're the ones that have cried and screamed about things so we don't have to. Young LGBTQ plus, I'm talking to you. Get educated. LGBTQ history is our history, and the best people to tell us about it are the older LGBTQ folks. No, I'm not calling you old, Dale. I'm just saying in general. Never take for granted what they have sacrificed so you can be an Instagram star, or so you can transition and keep your job, or so you can marry whoever the F you want to marry. That's an icon to me. They make us better people by just existing. Ask questions. Get woke about what really happened. National Coming Out Day was this week, and there's no one better to come out to than someone who thought that in their day we would never be able to come out. They saw our fabulousness before we did, and we should forever be in their debt. Thank you, gay icons, today, tomorrow, and for always. You know that person that showed you the ropes, that told you not to wear those shoes, you know, when you were going to go out that one time, or that person that gave you the courage to come out. Those are our true icons. Yo soy FayWhat. Thank you for allowing me to be me every single week. I'm sending you love, peace, and happiness. I love you guys. Stay gay.